What's up, everybody? It's Roger and James here from What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Pixar's new SparkShorts. We're also going to be talking about Babble closing, and then we're going to have a full-on discussion really about Marvel and it's what's going on with some of the new shows and just generally just about Marvel on Disney Plus. So let's jump into it first off. So the kind of one of the cool news really this week was that Pixar announced a new series of short films that are being created by people within the business, within their company. They've been kind of given a small budget. They've been allowed to go off and create something, and they've been looking at making shorts that they're going to be first off putting out at the El Capitan Theater in California. Then they're going to be going up onto YouTube. And then in the press release, they even stated that these are all going to be available on Disney Plus, which I was like, yay! It was things like this of just like, I think you're going to start seeing this creeping in on stuff of where they're going to actually start telling us what's coming up when they put out, even if it's appearing on other things. So these shorts are kind of, I think Pixar shorts have always been one of those things of having a way of letting people try stuff out, see if they've got ideas, if they're good at stuff, and give them an almost like a bit of a test run. And this just to me just sounded such a great little idea and a kind of a great way of using Disney Plus as it's going to be their kind of their archive things, even though they were on YouTube, but they can always remove them later. They did that with I think it was Boy or the other week. They put it up onto YouTube, but only for a week, and then they took it down. So it's definitely going to be interesting where they go with this.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Disney Plus should be used for, letting the creators kind of do more small form content, which maybe doesn't have a mass market appeal or wouldn't sell on its own at the theater. And this allows them to create more shorts because, at this point, we're only getting a short whenever there's a Pixar movie. But a short they could, in theory, create in a much smaller time scale. And like you said, it's a chance for people or creators to get a test run. It's also a good chance for new creators on the animation side to get some practice in using the tools that Pixar uses. Because maybe when you hire one of these guys, background artist or a motion capture artist or whatever, you don't necessarily want to put them on the big budget film without having first given them a chance to mess around with the tools and learn the tools and the intricacies. Maybe have a mentor kind of guiding their way through. And yeah, we've seen some great stuff with the Pixar shorts. More recently, a little bit less so, but they were experimental, and that's the point of them. And when you have to attach them to a big movie like Coco or Inside Out or something like that, you can't be quite as experimental as you want to be because it's still part of that package. You're still marketing the superhero story or the story with the dumpling, which was just strange, very strange.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing as well. They were very clear about the fact that these Spark shorts are experimental. They're university. They're the NXT in wrestling terms of like Pixar, where they're letting people get in and trust the fact. And it's that thing of if they do good at this, they might be given a short, and then they might go on to make a movie. That's kind of the idea, really, of giving someone a trial, giving someone a chance. The quality might be lower because the budgets are going to be lower, but I like this, and I like the idea that they've been very open about it. The fact that they are giving them away essentially at the minute on YouTube, I can't help but feel, had this been announced a year in the future, they might have gone straight onto Disney Plus and not done the YouTube line. But they're at a point now, they're probably going, oh, these are already in the can. We don't really want to hold on to them for another year because this could be a long-running series. This could be something that we could be seeing regularly. It could be something that could be happening monthly. And it could be a way of making content for Disney Plus and YouTube, etc., on the cheap, but also allowing, like you say, a lot of practice. So I do think this was a really good idea, and I'm loving the fact now that we're starting to see content like this being announced and something a bit different. And this is what you aren't going to see on other platforms.
Yeah, and it's the perfect place for this kind of content to be in because I might not seek out the shorts, on YouTube or like on those collection packs that they release. I think they're up to volume 3 now. Because, why am I going to go out of my way, spend $25 to get the collection just for 1 or 2 shorts that I might like and a couple that are kind of blah and a couple that are great? But if it's included in my Disney Plus subscription, then whatever. It's a 5 to 10 minute thing that I can watch very quickly. It doesn't have that time requirement that something like The Mandalorian will have or some of the other shows. So, you don't have to worry about whether there's a market for these or not because they're just available. You throw it out there. Some people watch them, some people won't. Mm-hmm. But I bet you more people will watch them this way than they would if they were released in another format where you had to go and get them rather than them just being there.
Yeah. Just overall, I was really impressed with this. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. I'm going to be seeing them coming up. And I'm sure once Disney Plus is launched, they'll probably start just putting them there first as being a bit of just a bonus, because it would be a bit, the new short is on Disney Plus. I can't see them being on YouTube indefinitely because they have a little bit of I know they're experimental and they're only supposed to be like the low end version of the Pixar, but there's still going to be that little thing of there's this nice little short and stuff. I think we're going to see a lot more of this going forward, but obviously up till then, whenever the new ones get released, I will post them up on the website as well, so everyone can see them, because if they're available on YouTube for 6 months before they're on Disney Plus, then we might as well see them now. I'm going to shift gears now and go on to a story which kind of caught my attention for a bit of an odd reason. Was Disney closed down their parenting blog called Babble back in middle of December, and wouldn't have normally would have thought about it. A parenting blog, they apparently brought it back in 2011, paid about $40 million for it. They've been running it, but they've been sort of closing it. They closed it down, no more editorial things. The website's still there. But there was a really interesting article from TechCrunch, and in this actual article, they actually did name drop Disney Plus. They said as Disney's digital network evolves to support the launch of Disney's upcoming streaming service, Disney Plus, Babble.com ceased to have updates from December the 14th. Now, it was like, whoa, you've literally name dropped Disney Plus as the reason you've cancelled this website, which really just caught me off. You wouldn't really expect them to say that, like the way that they've done that.
No, especially since this doesn't seem to have any overlap with Disney Plus. Disney Plus is not being marketed as a blog, whether for parents or otherwise. So whether or not that's actually like a cause is interesting to speculate on, because if it was dropped specifically because of Disney Plus, that does suggest that there are plans to include more than just movies and stuff. There might be, it might end up in it might include something more newspaper-ish or something like that.
No, they go on and say in the thing of going and seeing stuff on Good Morning America. Now, looking at the website, it's generally been going down into, it's not been very popular, as it grew really fast, but then kind of petered out as social media kicked up. Looking at the YouTube channel, there is content there that they could bring over to Disney Plus. Maybe there wasn't massive views on it, but maybe the branding and all the rest of it didn't appeal the same way. I mean, I could see them doing content, maybe using some of the creators and ideas for exclusive ideas, parenting ideas from things on the channel, on the network. That would make a little bit of sense to do that, because there's primarily a family orientated one. They could maybe do a show on there. But also, is it just the fact that the Disney digital network is closing down projects left, right, and center? They've been doing it with Maker Studios. They merged that in with it. They've been closing down the Disney Interactive. There's a lot of shifting of places going on. I mean, I don't know. You got the Fox deal coming in. They've been readjusting all the companies around with the international side of things. It just looks like there's a lot of shuffling, and projects that aren't maybe making them the money are just being like, right, that's it. We want this digital network to be much more focused on what they're doing. And maybe that's just the thing where they've just getting rid of projects that they've inherited, that they've picked up over the years and aren't working, and they only want to focus on Disney Plus and a few other things and that seems to be the way that it looks like it's going.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Diz Kingdom podcast, of course, where they were closing down a bunch of mobile games over the Christmas break. It does seem like they're doing a house cleaning exercise, and that makes a lot more sense to me than it being a Disney Plus thing. We're gonna wipe these out and bring them back in some form in Disney Plus. It makes more sense to just be like, we want to streamline the site. Our sites, multiple sites. We want to make it a little bit easier to find what you're looking for. Bring it all under a single umbrella without being confusing. So, and that makes more sense to me. But we'll see. It's entirely possible that this will morph into a weekly or monthly show where it has the same basic content that Babble had, but in a video form or something like that.
It was very odd to see it when it flashed up in that they were basically just saying due to the support of Disney Plus. It just sounds to me like I think the whole department and the whole unit have just been, they have got, that is their job now, is to focus on and other projects. And maybe this thing of, it's like I said, they spent $40 million on this blog back in 2011. Maybe they've made their money back over the advertising, or maybe it's just been losing money year on year, and it's just like, this isn't worth the costs of maybe, what they spent on blogs back in the time when they thought they were going to go in one direction. Haven't quite panned out the way they thought, but definitely interesting to see. It wasn't something I was expecting to see linked to a Disney Plus recently.
No, definitely a surprise.
No. Okay, so now let's talk about Marvel. There's been a lot of Marvel bits and pieces. So, first off, the first rumor that came about this week was Loki. That apparently their idea is that Tom Hiddleston is going to be narrating the movie, and it could be based on Loki as a kid, or maybe different stories involving him. And part of me is like, yay. The other part of me is like, no. And this one still is very much in the rumor, so we still have to take this with a pinch of salt. Take it with a bag of salt, in fact. But what do you think of that idea?
I think that actually makes more sense than probably what most people were expecting. We've got some very big name actors attached to not just this project, but Vision and the Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier and Falcon, and so on and so forth. And it would make sense to include the actors that we know, Tom Hiddleston, Sebastian Stan, etc., but to not have them be the main characters, because that's got to be very, very expensive to have movie actors doing serials, serialized shows, not breakfast cereals. But Loki, it at least makes sense, because whether you're doing kind of a prequel Loki growing up thing, or also possible they're kind of doing the journey into mystery story, which is following the death of Loki, which we saw in Infinity War. He gets reincarnated because at least in Marvel lore, in the comic lore, we haven't really seen it in the movies yet. The gods get reincarnated when they die because they're filling a role. Yeah. And they provide a service, whether it's being the god of thunder, being the god of mischief, or so on. And we could get the kid Loki story where this young Loki, this reincarnated Loki, reimagined Loki, is kind of looking at, well, okay, I'm the trickster god, but I'm always a villain, and that's kind of boring, because if I'm always a villain, I'm not really tricking anyone, right? Yeah. So now he kind of becomes more morally ambiguous, a little bit less good, less bad. And they could be going that direction, and then having Tom Hiddleston narrating it could kind of be that kind of layer of, do you trust what you're seeing? Because it's Loki. He is the trickster god. Do you believe what he's saying? It could also be that connection back to the original character, but this is a new character. So for this one, it works. I'm down with them if they go this route, whether it's the Journey into Mystery prequel or something else completely. I think that this works. Now, if they try to do this with the other characters, like Vision and Scarlet Witch, or
Yeah.
or whoever else, Black Widow, which also had an interesting rumor this week. But yeah, that would not fly with those.
No.
You need the actors that you know. But Loki, you could pull it off. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I mean, originally, like, you can't start thinking like prequels because they had a young Loki in the 4 movies in the past. So telling stories from him as a kid could be a way of doing it. Again, it's the cost factor. And if Tom doesn't necessarily want to be doing Loki full time, this could keep him going in that role. Like you say, but then we've also seen the death of Loki, or maybe apparently, in Avengers Infinity War. So if they want to do the kid Loki story, they've set it up already. So that makes sense. It's not. I think if they hadn't have killed him off in Infinity War, that storyline, the kid's storyline, would be a little bit harder to do. But they've already done that. And it's a story that's already in Marvel. It's been around for a while. I kind of like the idea of them, on one hand, going forward and it not being prequels of just him being kid Loki, and it's set in the future. But then it automatically they go 10 years into the future, because he's going to have to be at least 10, 12 years old to make him a kid, or 14 to make it interesting. Then you're going into the future zone, and then suddenly everything they can't tell too many stories because they don't want to box themselves in.
They've already boxed themselves in plenty of times, but you do need to be very careful when you're messing with the timeline of things. I mean, we've seen it so many times with the comics, and we've seen it so many times with television shows, which do the flash forward in the first episode, and then you're like, you kind of stuck yourself into a corner there. Yeah,
I don't like that. I think the trouble is, I think a lot of us, and the vast majority of people, are expecting an 8-episode or 10, a series of where Loki, it's Tom Hiddleston as Loki. We get to see his adventures. We get to see the character we've loved, how he plays it. I think a lot of us will be disappointed if it isn't. And I kind of see that thing as well of, I would actually just like to see a full-on series with him in it, with some Asgardians. And that kind of ties in, I think, with this other rumor of there being this Lady Sif TV series. She hasn't been seen since 2. She was then in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as 2 episodes. She then ran off. We didn't see her in Ragnarok. Apparently, she did die at Ragnarok, I think, or Infinity War. One of them she did. But this series could go down one line of it being a way of them doing a strong female character. It ties in with 4. But then I'm also wondering, like, well, could they not do Loki and her being in the Loki series as like an assistant kind of thing? I was a little bit like, when I started thinking about it, going, well, actually, in some ways, these could be tied in together if they really wanted to.
I mean, there have been some hints that they are considering including Lady Sif in there. They're also considering including Lorelei, who hasn't even appeared in the movies at all, who's only appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And there's plenty of other Norse characters that you can throw in there, characters who've been introduced already, characters who have not. We'll have to wait and see. I don't trust any word on whether or not Lady Sif survived either Ragnarok or Infinity War, because they can say whatever they want, but until it's actually canonized in a book or a movie or a television show, they can do anything with it. And it would be a big waste to not have Jamie Alexander playing this, because she did a good job with the character in the 2 movies. She did a good job with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was nice having her in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being that bridge between the movies. And then she's been off on Blind Spot, which has been a fairly successful series. I think it's up to season 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah, my wife, I stopped watching that about halfway through season 1, but then my wife carried on watching Blind Spot. So the fact that she's already been used to doing television for the last 4 years actually makes to me more credible, because she's essentially become a television actress. She didn't really kind of go into doing a movie. I kind of like the idea of a Lady Sif show. It kind of maybe allow them to explore the 4 side of things without having him in there. And it could be a cheaper way, if they bring in the other characters as well. But without 4 Ragnarok, it's like, she's visiting the realms and all the rest of it. Could be a way of doing it. It also ties into this other problem, I think, with Disney Plus, of like they've been saying about expanding the universe, making it bigger. I think of like Vision and the Scarlet Witch as like a top-tiered show, and I think we were looking at Loki in that same thing of being an expansion of it. If they start doing like Lady Sif and Kid Loki and all the rest of it. It's starting to become a little bit like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they are much lower tier than maybe we were expecting.
Yeah, and one way or another, they are going to have to get lower tier as they go along, because they've announced some very, very big series with some big name actors involved, and that's not really sustainable, especially with them not knowing what subscription numbers are going to be like on Disney Plus yet. Because if those numbers come in and they're much, much lower than anticipated, they're not going to be able to justify spending this kind of money on the television series. But even if they do end up making what they're expecting or more, they will have to cut costs, because they have to maintain a profit curve, not just a plateau. And continuing to do Tom Hiddleston and Mackie and all that stuff, it just won't work. So even if this is coming as kind of like a little bit of a surprise, it's not really. We should have always been expecting they're going to hit us with that first wave, The Mandalorian, Vision, Black Widow, big name characters. And then we're slowly going to work our way over to Lady Sif or Justin Hammer, or some secondary characters who are recognizable but not as expensive to create.
No, I mean, I'd love to see them expand out the Ghost Rider from what they brought in with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bring Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in, do something maybe with the X-Men. They're going to have a lot more options of where they're going to scope it out. It's like, the thing is, they're going to need to keep dropping these Marvel series on us with Disney Plus. It might need to do two or three seasons a year, but they're shorter, and then they've got the other ones. They're going to need to keep dropping them to keep the Marvel fans happy. If you want subscriptions, you have to keep dropping stuff. You can't. You look at the way Netflix has been running with their series, and also like that. If you literally took all the Marvel series that they have had out in the last 12 months, Runaways, The Gifted, Legion, Deadpool, or you've got all of that. Then you've got the animated series. If you keep dropping them the way they are, that's actually going to make quite a large collection very, very quickly. Whether or not they're going to keep all of them running, I don't know. But Marvel Studios, they know that they're going to have to go into those lower tiered characters, because they're not going to give us a TV series starring Tony Stark with Robert Downey Jr. That is, you're never expecting those kind of series. That's never going to happen. The big movies are still going to be there, but they are going to expand it. I think the X-Men will allow them a little bit more scope. But the fact that we've had things like Ghost Rider in the TV series, and we've seen, I wouldn't mind seeing the Inhumans maybe come back, and maybe if they take it more seriously, they could do. I think they're pretty much gone as far as screen time is gone. But once everything's combined and they've got rid of the Fox hassle of those TV series, they can streamline a bit. It's like The Gifted and Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. Those kind of shows. Would a Cloak and Dagger movie work? No, but a TV series here and there, and if they leave it maybe a year or two between them, it could work.
Yeah, and again, this goes way back to what we were talking about earlier, where these potential shows, might not work that great on their own. You might not get people turning into Fox or ABC to watch a Cloak and Dagger show, but if it's part of that package, where it's right there, all you have to do is click on it and there's a big ad banner or something like that, people will watch it because it's part of something they're already paying for. And we could see these shows coming out that way. And you're not going to see Iron Man. You're not going to see the big CGI, heavy special effects budget shows, but you could see a Moon Knight. You could see some of these other smaller characters, these down-to-earth Punisher-style characters, or Black Ops teams. They really have whatever they want, because any genre you can think of, they've got characters within that genre that they could then be like, what's super popular right now? NCIS just exploded again. I'm hypothetically, that police procedural has become huge again. Well, they've got plenty of characters that they could do a police procedural set in the Marvel Universe. It's a down-to-earth, normal cops drama, but every once in a while they reference the fact that Thor just kind of tore up Main Street in a fight down, and we got to go do cordon that off. It's kind of what Gotham was originally pitched as opposed to what it is now, which is basically the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I do think that there's still going to be shows appearing on ABC and like Freeform. Not everything is going to be exclusive to Disney Plus, because this is the key thing as well. Certain things are still going to be running on Hulu and stuff. I do think like Runaways on Hulu is going to move, because it makes they will want to kind of keep everything in one place. I don't think they'll want to do that. You got all the Netflix stuff that's all going to come live. But if you start having, if you have I think even 3 or 4 series a year that are appearing on Disney Plus, some of them exclusive, some of them maybe doing day and date, because I think you'll start seeing that as well. It'll be like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, and you can watch today, all of them are available now on Disney, then suddenly you're getting like a double stream coming through. And if you look at what's been out in the last 12 months in terms of Marvel shows, if you put them all on Disney Plus in 1 year, that's actually quite an impressive lineup. If you take away all the, the Hulu, the Disney Plus, the Amazon, the Netflix, the ABC shows, and you drop them all on there as they happen day and day on the TV series or whatever, that's quite a lineup.
Yeah, and not even just that, but you can go back and mine the history of Marvel television shows back to the 90s, or if you want to go even farther back, you can go to like Amazing Spider-Man and his Super Friends, Iceman and Firestar. But you've got the 90s Spider-Man, which was a great show up until they changed the title. The X-Men, which was a great show up until the final season. And then you've got all the various other the Iron Man and Fantastic Four Power Hour and all that stuff.
Well, I kind of want to bring something up here that reminds me. What's been happening in a lot of the countries, not happening in America, is Disney XD has becoming Marvel HQ in like Australia, in Europe. It's happening in India as well. They've been rebranding their Marvel to this Marvel channel, because they've got all these cartoons that they're making, for the Disney Channel, and they've now got this Marvel HQ. They've also got the YouTube channel. I am expecting all of this content to be on Disney Plus, and they might not necessarily be exclusive, because they're still going to run those traditional television channels, but they've been very open about the fact that some things are still going to be on TV and they're going to be on Disney Plus. I think the Disney Now app will be gone once they've got Disney Plus, but that's a different story for another day. But you've got all the animated series. The fact that they're turning a Disney XD into a Marvel animated series, we're gonna continue to see more of that, and all of that is going to be on there. So you're going to start seeing, it's not just going to be about 3 movies a year and 2 series that are exclusive. There's going to be drip feeding Marvel onto this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't they? That's the best way for them to do it. So.
But yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of Marvel stuff, and it's that thing of, is it all going to be exclusive to Disney Plus? No, but I think you have to look. Eventually it might be doing so, but there are going to be some exclusive series to get you in there. But I do think Disney Plus is going to become the VOD, the on-demand app, that if you'll see something come up and it'll be like, this is available, Runaways is available, maybe not necessarily Runaways, but Cloak and Dagger is on Freeform this Saturday. You can also watch it now on Disney Plus. That's the way they're going to start pushing it, because essentially what's going to be happening is Disney Plus are buying the content from the Disney Channel, because they're separate companies within it. But I think you are going to see a lot of that, of where they are day and date, because they'll want that. They will want people to be paying for it, and they're going to be looking now that while the Cloak and Dagger is on Freeform, less people are subscribing to traditional television. Sky do it over here, and all the channels over here, they are day and date online with their apps. And Now TV, TV's drops on Sky at 9 o'clock at night. It's available then on Now TV. Different branding, but it's still there.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to want to do, because it's not that less people are watching television, it's less people in their target market are watching television. Cloak and Dagger is not meant to be targeted at the older crowd who do watch television the way that they used to watch it, growing up. Cloak and Dagger is meant for a teenager crowd, and most of them are almost exclusively on streaming services. So it would make sense for them to be transitioning and go, sure, advertise it on regular television, be like, as you said, put the we're going to show it on Freeform on Saturday, but if you miss it or if you want to watch it a different way, it'll be up on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and it just makes sense because they're going to have to hit the double market. They've still got the Disney channels running. They're still going to have to keep them going. They've still got advertising money coming in. They've still got people watching there. They don't want to put everything over there yet, but they have been very open about it's going to be on different platforms. And yeah, I don't necessarily think it's going to be like, oh yeah, it runs on Freeview or Freeform for 3 months and then we shove it on Disney Plus. It's like, no, they're going to be wanting to strip it out. I actually think if they that way, it might carry on with the traditional like weekly episodes, and then suddenly, oh, episode 4 of Cloak and Dagger is now on Disney Plus. You're going to start. That will also keep this drip feed effect of there constantly being updates, and I think that Marvel section of Disney Plus, when you click on that banner, there's going to be a lot of stuff in there with all these TV shows. And while we focus on the movies and the exclusive stuff, the drip feeding of the animated series, a weekly animated of Spider-Man and an Avengers, and like this week we've got the new Black Panther things with the final Stan Lee appearance in it. This is all going to be dropping in on it. Yeah, maybe the cartoon stuff isn't for everyone, but for kids, which is the prime audience for this network, is going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I'm actually kind of looking forward to watching some of the older stuff again.
Yes.
I don't know if it'll hold up, but I do have fond memories of, say, the X-Men and the Spider-Man shows from back in the day.
And I'm very much expecting to see also some of that Fox content of some of those early shows, those early movies. Yeah, Legion might not necessarily fit in, but Gifted could do, and some of the other bits and pieces like that. Because I think Gifted would make, whether or not they, it's like this whole thing of Hulu. Yeah, at the minute they've got the rights to the Hulu stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean it can't be on Hulu and Disney Plus as a way of. They want to make that very easy distinction of, oh, you want Marvel, you want Disney Plus. They don't want it on lots of different brands because that's getting confusing.
Yeah, and they'll be doing that just as soon as their contracts allow them to.
Yes, and also it's very easy to sit there in a board meeting and go, yeah, we want to put Runaways and take them off Hulu, and Comcast there with their 30% and Time Warner going, no, we don't agree with that. Yeah, 60%, we can say yes. So it's gonna be easy to do. But there we go. So like I say, there's gonna be lots of TV shows and stuff coming up on Marvel, on the Disney Plus, animated, live action, stuff we've seen already, stuff we haven't seen, and then you're gonna have the movies, because obviously then when you have the big blockbusters hit Disney Plus as well, that'll be a big aspect, and all the old ones are on there. There's going to be a lot of content for Marvel on Disney Plus. But on that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us this week. Make sure you go check us out over at What's on Disney Plus. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with all the latest stories from there. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can subscribe on audio platforms. Just to let you know as well, as of this week, the podcast version is also now on Spotify. So if you want to, you can subscribe there as well. James, where can they find you?
Find me at heroiclegacy.com.
And on that note, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon. Laters.
Later.